وحيا من بعد هون إن أراد أن قال كن فهو نور وحيا من بعد هون إن أراد أن قال كن فهو.
Unit 3. Beauty is only skin deep. Pages 34 and 35. 1. Listen and discuss.
The hairbrush. Hairbrushes have been around for thousands of years. However, you may be surprised to learn that until recently they were only used by the wealthy and privileged. The upper-class ancient Egyptians used hairbrushes made of animal hair, porcupine quills, shells, and bone for combing and to remove lice and other pests that got tangled in their hair. Brushes were manufactured for the first time in 1777 by an English company. The bristles came from wild animals and were stitched into the brush by hand. It is not surprising that these brushes were quite expensive. It wasn't until the beginning of the 20th century that brushes began to be manufactured by machine and to be produced with cheaper, synthetic materials like nylon bristles. With these developments, brushes became extremely common.
Lipstick. Ancient Egyptian women made lipstick from a red dye extracted from seaweed and the poisonous element iodine. It was eventually discovered that this early form of lipstick made women very sick. Cleopatra had a safer, although not very appealing, recipe for lipstick. It was made from ants and beetles. The ants were used as the base and crushed carmine beetles for their deep red color. In 1884, the first modern lipstick was introduced in Paris. It was a solid stick made of castor oil, beeswax, and animal fat. By the 1940s, the use of lipstick by famous wealthy women had led to its widespread popularity. During this period, rotating lipstick in a tube was invented. Today, the average woman owns 8 lipsticks.
Deodorant. The ancient Egyptians worked hard to hide body odor. They put perfume in their baths and applied great quantities of it to their underarms. They tried using many odd items, like incense and porridge, as deodorant. The ancient Greeks were also afraid that they might give off an odor. Like the Egyptians, they bathed constantly and wore a lot of perfume. The Romans took this obsession a step further. They soaked their clothes in perfume and even put it on their horses and household pets. The first trademark deodorant, a paste called Mum, didn't appear until 1888. In the mid-1950s, the ballpoint pen inspired the first roll-on deodorant. Today, deodorants are a multi-billion-dollar industry and are as common as toothpaste in most homes.
Nail polish. Nail polish can be traced back to around 3000 BCE in both China and Egypt. Chinese nail polish was a mixture of beeswax, gelatin, egg whites, and a gum from a special tree. Nail color represented social class. During the Zhou dynasty, around 600 BCE, the royal colors were gold and silver, so these were the colors worn by royalty and the upper class. Lower-ranking women were only allowed to wear pale colors. If they were royal colors, they could be put to death. Ancient Egyptian men and women of high social rank stained their nails with red henna. Military commanders in Egypt and early Rome felt that it was important to be well-groomed before going into battle. It is strange but true that they spent hours before a battle having their hair curled and their nails painted. Modern nail polish was invented in the 1920s. Its formula is very similar to the formula for car varnish.
Page 38. 4. Conversation.
I'd like to speak with a manager. I'm the manager. How can I help you? Look at my hair. It's lovely. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I am very upset with this haircut. It's by far the worst haircut I've ever gotten. The hairstylist didn't listen to me at all. This is not the style I asked for. I'm fit to be tied. I'm sorry you didn't get what you were expecting, but I have to tell you, I saw you when you walked in. I did a double take when I saw you after the haircut. I think this style really suits you. It's a dramatic improvement. But it's too short, and it has all these layers. I look ridiculous. Not at all. You just aren't used to it. Trust me, it brings out your eyes, and it makes you look more sophisticated. You're just trying to make me feel better. No, I'm being entirely honest. You look elegant and sophisticated. I have a wedding to go to this weekend, and I wanted to look my best. Perfect. You're going to blow them away with your new style. You really think so? Absolutely. I'll tell you what. See what happens at the wedding. If your family and friends don't like it, come back next week and we'll give you any haircut you want on the house. Well, okay. I guess that's fair.
Page 39. 5. Listening. Listen to the lecture given by a nutritionist about fad diets. Then complete the chart.
New fad diets that promise quick results with little effort appear all the time. Some of these diets that have appeared through the years have been truly strange and silly. One recent fad diet that was popular with famous people was the baby food diet. This diet suggests that a few tiny jars of baby food should replace 1 or 2 meals each day. While exchanging adult meals for small jars of food may result in weight loss, this diet has clear drawbacks. Aside from the fact that baby food has a texture and taste that is unappealing to adults, the small portions aren't enough to keep an adult healthy. Replacing meals with baby food results in a significant drop in calories that can leave the dieter feeling weak and dizzy. Perhaps one of the strangest recent fad diets is the cotton ball diet. As its name suggests, people on this diet eat cotton balls. The idea is that the cotton balls are low in calories and very filling, so the dieter would not have an appetite for other fattening foods. Obviously, this is a completely ridiculous diet. Aside from the fact that cotton balls have no taste and a terrible texture, this diet can be dangerous. It doesn't provide any of the vitamins and nutrients a person needs to survive. In addition, it can lead to digestive problems. One fad diet that has come in and out of fashion since the 1970s is the cabbage soup diet. While this diet isn't guaranteed to result in weight loss, it is guaranteed to make the dieter miserable. On this restrictive diet, the only food that you can eat anytime is cabbage soup, a food that is filling and low in calories. In addition to this bland soup, you can only eat certain food groups on certain days. For example, aside from the soup, on the first day, you can only eat fruit. On the second day, you can only eat vegetables. Because this diet is so restrictive, it is difficult to stick with it. It's not surprising that common side effects include mood swings and low energy levels. There seems to be no limit to what people have been willing to try in order to lose weight.
Page 39. 6. Pronunciation. Affirmative auxiliary verbs are usually not stressed in sentences, unless they are used for special emphasis. However, negative auxiliary verbs are stressed within sentences. Listen and practice.
1. One recent fad diet that was popular with some famous people was the baby food diet. 2. Baby food has a texture and taste that is unappealing to adults. 3. The small portions aren't enough to keep an adult healthy. 4. It doesn't provide any of the vitamins and nutrients a person needs to survive. 5. This diet isn't guaranteed to result in weight loss.
Pages 40 and 41. 8. Reading.
Changing concepts of beauty in history. Most societies place great value on beauty, whether in art and architecture, fashion and appearance, or design and advertising. Throughout history, elegance and beauty have been the subjects of admiration and fascination. In modern times, we have competitions to find the most beautiful, magazines to tell us about trends in fashion and design, and a billion-dollar cosmetics industry built around looking and feeling beautiful. Yet, despite the importance placed on beauty, one question remains: what is beauty? The ancient Greeks thought that proportion was the key to beauty. The Greeks believed that they had discovered the mathematical formula that represented perfect beauty, which was based on proportions in nature. According to this formula, for example, the ideal face was 2/3 as wide as it was high. Modern research has proven that the basic concept of the Greeks' formula, if not the formula itself, was correct. Beauty does seem to relate to proportion and balance. When related to beauty, these qualities are called symmetry. A perfectly symmetrical face, just like a symmetrical flower, would have a left side that is identical to its right side. Research has shown that the more symmetrical an object or a face is, the more beautiful it is believed to be. You might assume that this response to symmetry is something we learn. However, research has shown that the human appreciation for symmetry is instinctive. It has been found that babies will spend more time staring at pictures of symmetrical objects than they will at photos of asymmetrical objects. Not only is this response instinctive, but it does not appear to vary from one culture to another. In a study conducted at the University of Louisville, Kentucky, participants from 13 different countries were shown pictures of a number of different people. All the participants rated the attractiveness of the people in the same way. They all gave the highest ratings to the people with the most symmetrical faces. While it is true that people across all cultures tend to admire symmetrical features, standards of beauty do vary from one culture to another and from one time period to another. For example, each of the following was considered beautiful at a certain time and place, but would not be considered so today. During the Elizabethan era in England, women thought that high foreheads were elegant, so they plucked inches of their front hair to achieve this look. Also during the Elizabethan era, women brushed egg whites over their faces in order to have a glazed look. In ancient China, the belief that it was elegant for women to have tiny feet led to foot binding. From the 14th to 19th centuries in Europe, women would bind their waists. The binding was sometimes so tight that often women could not breathe properly and sometimes fainted. Another example of how the concept of beauty and fashion changes with time is the way attitudes toward weight have changed through the ages. In Europe, between 1500 and 1900, a plump figure was considered very attractive. Famine was widespread, so plump figures represented health and wealth. During that period, it was common for people to pad themselves in order to look heavier. In the 1900s, fears of food shortages started to diminish, and with it, so did the chubby figure. A new ideal began to emerge. Thin was in. Of course, this trend has continued to today. Because there is an overwhelming amount of fattening food available in most developed countries, it is now considered more attractive and healthy to be thin. Today, fashion and beauty products are usually associated with women. However, this too is the result of a change that took place over time. In fact, the male form was the original standard of beauty in Western culture. The muscular and fit male athlete was the ideal of elegance. For hundreds of years, makeup was associated with both women and men. Men in ancient Greece, Egypt, and Rome wore makeup on their faces and nails. Roman men even had some bizarre beauty practices of their own, such as the habit of bathing in crocodile water to improve their skin. Men's grooming and makeup went in and out of style a number of times through history, before becoming very unfashionable during the industrial age of the early 1800s. However, there are signs that masculine concern for appearance is making a return, as more men are joining gyms and opting to use skincare products than ever before. The standards for beauty and fashion have changed frequently throughout history and will no doubt continue to do so. However, one thing unlikely to ever change is people's fascination with beauty.
Page 42. 10. Writing.
The importance of wealth. Although a lot of people say that money is not everything, I think wealth brings far more benefits than problems. It is common knowledge that people who are well off have easier lives. They don't have to worry about living expenses, household bills, school tuition, medical bills, and a lot more. Consider a person who has 3 children. He is educated and holds a reasonable job with a reasonable salary. However, one of his children develops a condition that requires ongoing care and costly medication, while the other 2 are planning to study law and medicine. They expect to eventually go abroad in order to complete their postgraduate studies and specializations. His wife, who used to teach, can no longer work as she has a problem with her eyes. How is he going to manage? It is obvious that this otherwise happy person with a happy family is faced with a predicament. He has to decide whether he can support everyone's plans and dreams or prioritize things in a way that will allow for partial satisfaction. In other words, should he encourage his 2 healthy children to go ahead and study but not expect to specialize abroad? Or should he reduce medical expenses by moving his sick child to a cheaper facility? On the other hand, they are all his children, and he doesn't want to discriminate against any of them. He wishes he could find a way to fund everything and not displease anyone. In addition, his wife is going to need surgery soon. I think the situation above demonstrates the importance of money as a means of providing and catering for a family's needs in a satisfactory manner. None of the problems that worry the father day and night and have changed his mood and personality would exist if he had the funds. Naturally, wealth cannot buy happiness if there is none to be had. On the other hand, it can help sustain it in cases like the one described. So regardless of how materialistic this might sound, I believe that money is important. What I would like to say to those who claim that health is more important is that, although this might be true, it is equally true that having money can preserve a sense of well-being and health more effectively than not.
وحياة من بعد هون، إن أراد أن قال كن فهو نور وحياة من بعد هون، إن أراد أن قال كن